Hi students. In this session, I will review conjugated systems in organic chemistry. Conjugated systems you come across in alkenes. Some conjugated systems you come across in aldehydes, ketones, and some in even alkyl and aryl halides, aromatic compounds. So from aliphatic hydrocarbons to amines. So in this span of organic chemistry syllabus, wherever this conjugated system comes, so let me revise that, let me review that. Okay. So the heading of this topic is chemistry of conjugated systems. Okay. In this, the subtopics are, the first subtopic is introduction, second subtopic is electrophilic addition to the conjugated systems, and the third one nucleophilic addition to the conjugated systems, and the last one nucleophilic substitution in conjugated systems. So generally in JEE advanced syllabus, we have three reactions of conjugated systems. So one is electrophilic addition, second one is nucleophilic addition, and the third one is nucleophilic substitution. Of course, we have one more reaction which generally these conjugated systems participate, that is electrophilic substitution. Electrophilic substitution reactions of benzene, but I am not going into that. So three main reactions: electrophilic addition, nucleophilic addition, nucleophilic substitution, and apart from this, introduction. So first let me start with introduction. And in this introduction part, I am reviewing three aspects of conjugated systems. For example, 1,3-butadiene. So let me discuss three different aspects of 1,3-butadiene initially in the first subtopic. And in that, the first one is conformations. Conformations of ethane, conformations of butane, similarly conformations of 1,3-butadiene, conformations of a conjugated diene. And to explain this, I am taking the example 1,3-butadiene. CH2, double bond CH, single bond CH, double bond CH2. All of you see the bond that is present between second and third carbon, and I am explaining conformations with respect to that particular bond, C2C3 bond. And all of you recall whether that is a pure single bond or partial double bond. It is partial double bond because of the resonance, because of the conjugation. But the bond order of that particular bond is only slightly greater than 1. Although it is a partial bond, but for all practical purposes it is a single bond, because its bond order is only slightly greater than 1. As a result, it is freely rotatable at room temperature. And as a result, two important conformations of that 1,3-butadiene arise. So those two conformations are, one is like this, this is a double bond, this is also a double bond, and this conformation is called as S-cis, and this is in equilibrium with another conformation which is called as S trans. Generally, you all know the actual cis-trans isomers. These are not actual cis-trans isomers. These are just conformations. When you see the true cis-trans isomers, which are also called as geometrical isomers and which are also called as diastereomers. So we see arrangements across the double bond, but here this is across a single bond, and single bond is freely rotatable. So the so-called S-cis and S-trans, these conformations arise due to free rotation around the single bond, and the small s stands for single bond. That means something happening across the single bond, not across the double bond. When it happens across the double bond, they will become true cis-trans isomers. But these are not true isomers. These are not isomers at all. They are just conformations, mutually interconvertible at room temperature. And you see this symbol? Obviously, needless to say, this trans, S-trans is more stable. Steric hindrance. Suppose if you see S-cis, you have repulsions between pi bonds as well as two hydrogens like this. But in trans, we don't have such a problem. The repulsion between pi bonds is also lesser, and the repulsion between hydrogens are also lesser. So S-trans is more stable. And if you see the energy profile diagram, potential energy versus dihedral angle. Then it comes out to be like this. Here lies S-trans and here lies S-cis, and this is the activation energy. But at room temperature, that activation energy is very small. So as a result, these two are mutually interconvertible. So 1,3-butadiene, if you see particularly 1,3-butadiene, it exists in two different conformations, S-cis and S-trans. And out of these two, S-trans is more stable. That is because of the lesser repulsions between the pi bonds as well as lesser crowding, steric crowding between the hydrogens. Let us come to the second point, that is enthalpy of hydrogenation. Which is also called as heat of hydrogenation. If you measure it under standard conditions, we can write down standard enthalpy of hydrogenation. So delta HYDH, enthalpy of hydrogenation. Okay, first all of you recall, how do you define it? How do you define enthalpy of hydrogenation of any compound? It is the enthalpy change when 1 mole of an organic compound is treated with excess hydrogen to give a saturated compound. So you take an unsaturated hydrocarbon, you treat it with excess hydrogen, and reduction happens, all the pi bonds disappear, then you will get a saturated compound, and the enthalpy change in that particular reaction is enthalpy of hydrogenation. And units of this enthalpy of hydrogenation in SI system is joule per mole. Okay, all of you all know joule per mole. So per mole of what? Per mole of hydrogen or per mole of organic compound? It is always per mole of the organic compound, unless otherwise mentioned. Suppose in the exam, if any question is asked regarding this enthalpy of hydrogenation, Unless otherwise mentioned, it is per mole of the organic compound you have taken. That may be ethene, that may be benzene, that may be 1,3-butadiene, whatever it may be, but that is per mole of the organic compound, not per mole of the hydrogen. But if examiner asks something and if he mentions specifically about hydrogen, then you take it for hydrogen. But otherwise, by default, by definition, it is per mole of the organic compound. Okay. Suppose if you start with 1 pentene, CH3, CH2, CH2, CH double bond, CH2, 1 pentene. And if you see its enthalpy of hydrogenation, it is minus 126 kilojoules per mole. Generally, enthalpy of hydrogenation is negative. You break one pi bond, you form 2 sigma bonds, so more amount of energy is released. So generally it is exothermic. So it is minus 126 kilojoules per mole. 1 pentene. It is a value of 1 pentene. Okay. Suppose if you see 1,4 pentadiene. So CH2 double bond CH, CH2 CH double bond CH2. 1,4 pentadiene. So how much value you expect? See, 1 pentene value is given to you. Now we are expected to guess the value for 1,4 pentadiene. It is roughly twice, because here you break 1 pi bond, 2 sigma bonds are formed, and here you break 2 pi bonds, 4 sigma bonds are formed. So everything is twice. So energy released is expected to be twice logically, and its value is approximately 254 kilojoules per mole. The amount of energy released. If you take 1 mole of this compound, I told you already this is per mole of the organic compound. You add excess hydrogen, it needs 2 moles of hydrogen, you know that, but this compound needs only 1 mole of hydrogen. So if you see the delta H hydrogenation, enthalpy of hydrogenation of 1,4 pentadiene, it is roughly twice. Now, if you see third example, that is 1,3 pentadiene, CH3, 1,3 pentadiene. Now, how much value we can expect for this compound? 1,4 pentadiene and 1,3 pentadiene, both have 2 pi bonds. We will break 2 pi bonds in them and we will form 4 sigma bonds. To that extent, both are same. But you know, 1,3 butadiene is more stable than 1,4 pentadiene because it has resonance. It is resonance stabilized, there is conjugation. So, the enthalpy of hydrogenation of 1,3 pentadiene is minus 226 kilojoules per mole. It is far lesser than the twice of the 126. See, 1,4 pentadiene is matching with that. We expected it actually, it should be twice the amount for 1 pentene. But 1,3 pentadiene, its value is far lesser, almost 30 kilojoules lesser than expected. And it is quite logical because it is stable. And you know the difference between the twice value and the actual value is what we call as resonance energy. So the resonance energy of this particular 1,3 pentadiene is 252. The difference between 252, which is twice of 126, and 226. Now, if you see the enthalpy of hydrogenation of 1,2 pentadiene, 1,2 pentadiene, all of you recall, cumulative dienes are highly unstable, consecutive double bonds side by side. So, cumulative dienes, which are simply called as cumulines, which are also called as allenes, they are unstable. Maybe it is because of the repulsion between 2 pi bonds side by side, and as expected, its enthalpy of hydrogenation is more than twice of 126. it is around 300 kilojoules per mole. It is in fact far greater, almost 40 kilojoules greater than expected. So you just see, observe all these values. 1 pentene minus 126, 1,3 pentadiene less than twice, but 1,2 pentadiene more than twice. So cumulines are unstable, conjugated dienes are stable, and 1,4 pentadiene, it is almost twice the value as expected. So these are the enthalpies of hydrogenation. And let me repeat. Enthalpy of hydrogenation by default, by definition, is per mole of the organic compound. So if suppose if in the exam the question comes between 1 pentene and 1,3 pentadiene, whose enthalpy of hydrogenation is greater in magnitude, the answer is obviously 1,3 pentadiene. But it is lesser than twice, and that is because of resonance. And the difference between 2 into this value and this value is resonance energy. But suppose if the examiner asks the enthalpy of hydrogenation per mole of hydrogen, then you have to divide it by 2. Then you compare it with 126. So these values are per mole of the organic compound. But if the examiner asks per mole of the hydrogen, and you accordingly you have to change that. If it is 2 moles, by 2, if it is 3 moles of hydrogen, by 3, and then you will get the answer. So this is all about the enthalpy of hydrogenation of conjugated systems. Now come to the third aspect in that introduction part. So all of you recall, what is the reason behind the color of some inorganic compounds? You know, many inorganic compounds are colored, and why? What is the reason? And similarly, if you come to organic chemistry, even in organic chemistry also, few compounds are colored. So why color arises in organic chemistry? So first you come to inorganic chemistry, P block, S block, complexes, D block, F block. So if you see the entire inorganic chemistry, the reason behind the color is one reason is DD transitions, second reason is charge transfer, KMNO4, K2Cr2O7, and the third reason is crystal defects, ZNO. ZNO is white when cold, but it is yellow in color when hot. So crystal defects, charge transfer, DD transitions, these are the reasons behind the color of the inorganic compounds. Now, if you come to organic chemistry, so what is the reason? One of the reasons behind the color of the organic compounds is conjugation. For example, if you see ethene, CH2 double bond CH2. Now, there is no conjugation in this compound. It is just an unsaturated compound, ethene. Now, it absorbs light at a wavelength of 182 nanometers. And obviously, you know 182 nanometers falls in ultraviolet region, so no color. The wavelength does not fall in visible region. So this compound is not expected to be colored, and it is not colored. Now, if you come to CH2 double bond, CH single bond, CH single bond, C double bond CH2, 1,3 pentadiene. Now, this compound absorbs color at approximately 217 nanometers. Still, it lies in ultraviolet region. Now, if you come to another compound, CH2 double bond CH single bond CH double bond CH single bond CH double bond CH2, hexatriene, 1,3,5 hexatriene. And if you come to this one, then it absorbs light at 271 nanometers. And you see, more the extent of conjugation, more is the wavelength at which those compounds are absorbing light. and it is observed that if an organic compound has greater than 5 conjugated double bonds which are in resonance. So if a compound has greater than 5 conjugated double bonds, then that particular compound absorbs light whose wavelength is greater than 400 nanometers. 450, 500, 550, like that. And you know 400 nanometers above, so it falls in visible region. And you all know that, all of you recall please, from inorganic chemistry, in inorganic chemistry, particularly in coordination compounds we discuss. When a particular substance absorbs light in visible region, that is not the color that is visible to us, to the human eye. Suppose if a substance absorbs green color, the color of the compound is not green, but the color of the compound is the complementary color of that green color. Same thing. Suppose here a particular organic compound absorbs 450 nanometer wavelength, and that is not the observed color. Color with respect to 450 nanometers is not the observed color. The observed color is the complementary color of that one. So those organic compounds which have greater than 5 conjugated double bonds are expected to be colored. But if conjugation becomes too much, the wavelength becomes greater than 700 nanometers, and 700 nanometers greater than that, it goes into infrared region, again we cannot see any color. So if it falls between 400 nanometers and 700 nanometers, those compounds are expected to be colored. Now I will tell you two examples which all of you know. The first one is this compound. So all of you recall, it is the structure of phenolphthalein, one of the very useful dyes, useful indicators. Okay, now this is the structure of phenolphthalein in acidic medium. And you recall, all of you, in acidic medium, what is the color of phenolphthalein? No color, it does not show any color. And you see, observe it very carefully, and whether that particular structure has more than 5 conjugated double bonds. No. And you see here, these 3 double bonds and this double bond O. Okay, we have 4 double bonds in conjugation. If you come to this ring, 3. If you come to this ring, 3. So maximum 3 or 4 conjugated systems are there, but we don't have 5 conjugated double bonds. Now this compound is not colored. Colorless. Okay, now if you treat this compound with OH minus, let me put this phenolphthalein in basic medium. So OH minus will remove either this H plus or this H plus, both are same. It can remove either of them. And if you see the structure of conjugate base, then it looks like this. Now this ring is as it is, double bond O. Now suppose if you remove H plus from this particular benzene ring, it becomes O minus, and now this phenolic ring remains as it is. Now if I write down resonating structure of this compound, then you see I will form the pi bond here. Let me break this pi bond, and let me break this pi bond also, and then this sigma bond. So then we will have a structure that is O minus, and Now that is the structure. And you see that. How many pi bonds are in conjugation? Now, if you start from here, 1, then 2, then 3. If you go that way, 3 more, 6. If you come this way, 4 more, 7. So, minimum 5 conjugated system. Yes, that is definitely there in the conjugate base of phenolphthalein, and it is colored. You all know that it is pink in color. So, extensive conjugated system is one of the reasons why organic compounds are colored. And you can take one more example, and that is also very familiar example. Now, benzene ring. Here we have SO3 minus Na plus. And here diazo link, and here we have benzene ring, NMe twice, methyl orange, and a very famous dye which is obtained in a very famous reaction, that is a diazo coupling, and you see diazo link between these two benzene rings. So this is methyl orange. Now this is the methyl orange structure in basic medium, and you know in basic medium the color of methyl orange is yellow. Now suppose if you dissolve it in acidic medium, you will get the structure that is, and you see which nitrogen is most basic in methyl orange. That means when you add H plus, which nitrogen absorbs that H plus? This nitrogen? No, because its lone pair is in conjugation, and in the hybrid that nitrogen has partial positive charge. This nitrogen can be, but this nitrogen has more partial negative charge than this nitrogen, because if you see the resonating structure, the lone pair of this nitrogen comes here first, then here, then on to this nitrogen. So out of these 3 nitrogens, maximum negative charge is present on this nitrogen. So obviously H plus will prefer to attack that H plus only, that nitrogen only. So if I write down the structure of the methyl orange in acidic medium, now it is like this: NH plus, most basic nitrogen, single bond, N, double bond, N, Me2 plus, double bond, and this benzene ring remains as it is. Now see, and you know the color of the methyl orange in acidic medium is red. So in the case of methyl orange, both base as well as the conjugate acid, they are colored, because we have conjugation. Here also we have more than 5 double bonds in conjugation. Here also we have that. But in the case of phenolphthalein, only the conjugate base is colored, because only it is satisfying the criteria for the color. But its conjugate acid is not satisfying that criteria. And you all know this side chain in methyl orange, SO3 minus Na plus, sulfonate, that is taken to make this compound quite soluble in water. Because you know methyl orange is used in so many titrations, and in almost all the titrations the medium is water. So to make this particular indicator quite soluble in water, we attach this SO3 minus Na plus. Now this is about color. So please remember all of you, when an organic compound has greater than 5 double bonds in conjugation, that organic compound is expected to be colored. So I told you already, I am going to discuss 3 different reactions of these conjugated systems. Let me come to the first one, that is electrophilic addition. Okay. Now suppose if you take electrophilic addition in conjugated systems, you can say conjugated dienes. So a particular conjugated system. And for example, if you take 1, 3 butadiene, the simplest conjugated diene possible. And if you add HBr to this compound by taking a proper solvent, and generally acetic acid is taken as a solvent whenever you want to add HBr to any alkene, diene or normal alkene, acetic acid is taken. So here I am maintaining the room temperature, and here two products are obtained. One is this one. H gets added to this carbon and Br to this carbon, basically addition reaction. And because first H plus attacks in the rate determining step, so that reaction is called as electrophilic addition. You know that already. Now the second compound obtained here is here Br and here double bond. Now this compound. So that means H gets added to this carbon. You see CH2 has become CH3 and Br gets added to this carbon. So extremes. To the right extreme H is added and to the left extreme Br is added. So we got two products. Now it is found that at room temperature this product is major. Experimentally it is found to be major and this product is minor. Now if you perform the same reaction HBr, acetic acid, but now if you maintain the temperature minus 10 degrees Celsius, sub-zero temperature, then again two products are obtained. One is same this compound and same mixture of same two products and here Br. Now at this temperature this is found to be major and this is found to be minor. Now that is what is the result. We are adding HBr to 1, 3 butadiene and at two different temperature and result is different. And this compound is called as 1, 4 addition product. H is added to one carbon and Br is added to the fourth carbon from that carbon. Actually 1, 4. 1 and 4 they are not the IUPAC numbers according to IUPAC, no. It is the relative position of the carbons. So if you say this is the first carbon, if it is first then it is fourth. So relative to that 1, 4 addition. And this is called as 1, 2 addition product. So 1, 4 product is major at high temperature and high temperature means for HBr it is room temperature. And at sub-zero temperature 1, 2 addition product is the major product. So in the exam, if the examiner does not mention the temperature, we go for 1, 4 addition, because for this particular example 1, 4 is that means the room temperature is already higher. One more example. Suppose if you take the same 1, 3 butadiene. Now you treat this compound with Br2 in CCl4. Now here again two products are obtained. One is the Br atoms, they get added to neighboring carbons. So 1, 2 addition it is. And another product is Br here and Br here. And this is 1,2 addition product, that is 1,4 addition product. The Br atoms get added to the extremes, first carbon and fourth carbon. And at room temperature, this is found to be the major at room temperature. And at low temperatures, this is found to be the major product. So similar to this, temperature plays important role in both the examples. At high temperature, 1,4 product is coming out to be major, and at low temperature, the 1,2 product is coming out to be major. And one more point, very important point. Suppose if you take 1,3 butadiene, you perform the reaction at minus 10 degrees Celsius. You make all arrangements. Let us do the experiment at minus 10 degrees Celsius. So this mixture is obtained around 60% 1,2 product and 40% 1,4 product, like that. Major is 1,2, minor is 1,4. Now you just allow the reaction to go to completion. Wait further. Keep the temperature at minus 10 degrees Celsius. Once the reaction gets over, then you increase the temperature to maybe 25 degrees Celsius. These conditions. Then the composition of the mixture changes. Now the major product will, this product will become the major and this becomes the minor. That means directly you maintain the temperature at 25 degrees Celsius. 1,4 addition product will be the major. Or else you first do the experiment at sub-zero temperature, let the reaction gets over, then you increase the temperature. Again, whatever product mixture you will get at 25 degrees Celsius, you will get that back. So two things are there. And this 1,4 addition product, 1,4 addition product is called as thermodynamic controlled or equilibrium controlled product. I will explain that actually why it is called so. And 1,2 addition product is called as kinetic controlled product. So at high temperature you will get the equilibrium controlled product, which is also called as thermodynamic control, and at low temperature we will get kinetic control. And let me come to that reason, let us discuss it in very detail. So this is the result. Electrophilic additions, either you take addition of HBr or you take addition of Br2 or any other electrophilic addition. And whenever you take a conjugated system, high temperature gives you 1,4 addition and low temperature gives you 1,2 addition. Now let me come to the reason. The names, the terminology behind them, thermodynamic control, kinetic control. Okay, first I will explain both the examples which I took up. One is addition of HBr and second one is addition of bromine. First let me come to addition of HBr. So if you take 1,3 butadiene, you all know when you add HBr without peroxide, the mechanism happens in two steps. First step is the attack of H plus, second step is the attack of Br minus. Attack of H plus is the rate determining step. And you all know one more thing, generally addition reactions are exothermic. Generally addition reactions are exothermic. In fact, logically they should be exothermic because entropy change delta S for an addition reaction is negative. There will be loss in entropy because it is addition reaction. Generally there are 2 moles of reactants and 1 mole of product. So loss in entropy generally. Of course, there may be some exceptions. So unless enthalpy change is highly negative, there is no way an addition reaction can be spontaneous. How can you make delta G negative if delta H is also positive? delta S is already negative and you have to make delta G negative. So delta H must be largely negative. Okay. So keeping those fundamentals in mind, let us proceed. First step is addition of H plus, and as a result you will get a carbocation. And this carbocation is resonance stabilized. Allylic type of carbocation. So double bond comes here, plus comes here. And all of you keep in mind, these are not the two different intermediates, they are just the resonating structures of one particular intermediate. We have only one intermediate. I have written only the resonating structures of that particular intermediate. Mind it, all of you. Now, suppose if Br, that means if you see the hybrid of these two, we have partial positive charge here and partial positive charge here because of the contribution of this compound. Because both of them contribute to the hybrid, we have partial positive charges at two places, and Br minus can attack any place. Okay. So if Br minus attacks this place, then the compound obtained is this one. And you all know it is called as 1,2 addition product. Okay, and if Br minus attacks this particular carbon, which also has partial positive charge, then the compound obtained is Br. Now here the double, and you all know this is 1,4 addition. All of you see very carefully. Out of these two products, which is more stable? I am asking about the products, not about the resonating structures of the intermediate. Definitely this one, because the double bond is more substituted, more hyperconjugation structures when you compare this with that one. So 1,4 addition product is more stable. Now if you come to the resonating structures, which is more stable out of these two resonating structures, definitely this is more stable, and the contribution of this structure is greater, because here the plus charge is stabilized by hyperconjugation, inductive effect, and you know CH3 is an electron donating group by both the effects. One is inductive as well as the second one is hyperconjugation. So if you come to carbocation, that means resonating structure stability, this is more stable. But the product coming from that particular resonating structure is not more stable. Okay. So this is the mechanism of 1,4 addition, electrophilic addition to conjugated ion. 1,4 addition, 1,2 addition. Suppose if you see its energy profile, then the energy profile is like this. Potential energy versus reaction coordinate. Okay. Now this is the initial reactant, this is potential energy, this is reaction coordinate, x-axis. Now this is the reactant 1,3 butadiene. This is the first step, which is rate determining step, and here we have the intermediate, and this intermediate goes in the further reaction, and you will get the product finally. This is one pathway, and another pathway here is this one. And now you see both the pathways, blue colored, black colored, especially in the second step. See, first step is same for both of them, no difference. Until you get the carbocation, there is absolutely no difference. So whether you get 1,4 addition product or 1,2 addition product, that is decided in the second step. And in the second step, there are two paths. Now, here lies the 1,4 addition product. And we already decided that is more stable, 1,4 addition product. And 1 comma 4 addition product involves higher activation energy, you see. It involves higher activation energy because that resonating structure is less stable. Okay, and if you come to this particular path, here lies 1 comma 2 addition product, and that is less stable, but that involves lesser activation energy. You see the height of that blue colored curve, and you see the height of that black colored curve. So if you come to the second step, 1 comma 2 addition product involves lesser activation energy, so more reactive, rate is higher, and 1 comma 4 addition product involves higher activation energy, so rate is lesser. Okay. Now if you come to the role of temperature here, let me explain that. Okay, kinetic control, thermodynamic control, what is the meaning of those descriptions, terminology? Okay, suppose we perform the reaction at low temperature, let us say minus 10 degrees Celsius. Now first step is complete. First step is same for both of them, no difference absolutely whatsoever. Now if you come to the second step, at minus 10 degrees Celsius, the blue colored path involves lesser activation energy. That means the path for 1,2 addition product, that involves the lesser activation energy. So that is faster. Rate constant for that particular path is higher, so faster. All of you recall Arrhenius equation in chemical kinetics. So at that temperature, the 1,2 addition product and 1,4 addition product, they are formed maybe in the ratio 9:1, maybe in the ratio 8:2, but 1,2 addition product is definitely major product. Simple, it involves lesser activation energy at low temperature. Now, temperature is increased, minus 10 to 25 degrees Celsius. Now come to room temperature. So relatively higher than minus 10 degrees Celsius. Now, you all know, when you increase the temperature, rate constants increase. But whose rate constant increase to greater extent? The one with higher activation energy or the one with lower activation energy? Obviously the one with higher activation energy. So both the reactions, both the pathways become faster at high temperature. And at minus 10 degrees Celsius, for example, the ratio of those two rate constants is 9:1. Now at a higher temperature, the ratio will be 8:2. Because the one which involves higher activation energy, that is increased by a larger amount, larger factor. So the difference decreases, but still the blue colored path is the favorable path. Please mind it, all of you, don't ignore it. Even after the increase in temperature, the path which involves lesser activation energy is the favorable path. But the difference decreases. Difference is decreased, that's the only thing. Still this is favorable, even at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is the major product initially. But what happens here is, because the temperature is higher, temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, which is greater than minus 10 degrees Celsius. So at this temperature, the blue colored path becomes reversible. Because now these 1,2 addition product molecules which are formed at 25 degrees Celsius, now they can go back. Because now they are more energetic, they can cross this energy barrier now. At minus 10 degrees Celsius, they could not cross it. So once they are formed, okay, they are there only. It is not reversible, it is irreversible. But now at higher temperature, this reaction becomes reversible. So these 1,2 addition product molecules will come back. They come back and they get distributed in the ratio 8:2. So again they come back, again they are distributed in 8:2 ratio. And like that, if you allow some time, if you provide some time, then ultimately 1,4 addition product becomes the major product. And all of you please remember, 1,4 pathway, the black colored path, is never reversible. Neither at minus 10 degrees Celsius nor at 25 degrees Celsius. But the blue colored path is irreversible at minus 10, but it becomes reversible at 25 degrees Celsius. And that makes the difference. But as far as activation energy is concerned, as far as rate of the forward reactions are concerned, at any temperature, the blue colored path is more favorable. And the reason behind the 1,4 product becoming major at high temperature is the 1,2 path becoming reversible. So it is coming back. redistributed, again coming back, again redistributed. So if you allow some time, then you will get 1,4 additional product. So two things are very important here. One is temperature higher, and second one, reaction timings are also longer. See, that is equilibrium reaction. Only if you provide enough time, then only the 1,4 addition product is obtained as a major product. High temperature, longer reaction timings. So these two together make 1,4 product major product. Okay, and just let me repeat here the same thing with our other example, that is bromination. Now suppose if you take 1,3 butadiene and you add Br2 in the presence of CCl4. All of you recall in bromination the intermediate is cyclic halonium ion. So you will get first a cyclic halonium ion. It is something like this, Br plus. Now this intermediate can go in two different paths. Similar to this reaction, in this reaction also until now everything is same. But now the Br minus attacks at two different places. You see, suppose if Br minus attacks this carbon, now this bond is broken, and as a result you will get a compound that is here one Br and here another Br. So 1,2 addition product. Now, for example, if you take another pathway, that is, let me take the same intermediate, you know, until first step everything is same, cyclic halonium ion. Now let us see another pathway. Now can you show me where else can Br minus attack? Br minus can attack here, and that results in the formation of 1,2 addition product. And where else this Br minus can attack? The Br minus can attack this carbon also. And this pi bond is shifted here, and now this bond is broken. And all of you carefully observe this. This is one possibility. And if that happens, then you will get this compound. Here lies the double bond. One Br here and another Br here. And this is 1,2 addition product. And this is 1,4 addition product. Again, it is more stable. Everything is same. It is 1,2 addition product is more stable. This is measured at high temperature. This is measured at low temperature. Everything becomes similar. And I am repeating one important point. Even in the case of bromine CCl4, 1,4 addition product is obtained as a major product even at room temperature. Major at 25 degrees Celsius. See, all of you remember high temperature means it is not too high. It is not 80 degrees, it is not 100 degrees. Room temperature itself is the high temperature for our all electrophilic addition reactions. So if you want to get 1,2 addition product as the major product, then you have to go to sub-zero temperatures, and that is lower temperature. So for all the reactions, if in the exam, the examiner does not mention about the temperature, all of you go for 1,4 addition. Okay. So this is all about electrophilic addition to conjugated systems. Now let us see the nucleophilic addition to conjugated systems. But of course our conjugated system will change now. Now it is not 1,3 butadiene, it is no more a conjugated diene. But of course still it is a conjugated system. Okay, the next reaction is nucleophilic addition to a conjugated system. And let me take an example, that is this one. And first, just confirm whether it is a conjugated system or not. Yes, C double bond O and C double bond C are in conjugation with each other. And all of you recall these type of compounds are the final products of one of the very famous organic reactions, that is aldol condensation. Alpha, beta, unsaturated aldehydes and ketones. Okay. So, I am taking such a system. Now, I am adding a nucleophile to this one. And let me write down Nu minus, which stands for a nucleophile. OH minus, RO minus, CN minus, R minus, H minus, anything. Okay. First, let me tell you, this nucleophile can attack at two different places in that alpha, beta, unsaturated, aldehyde or ketone, two different places. One is this place, carbonyl carbon, and another one is this place. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, C4. One is C4, another one is C2. Okay. If you see the resonating structures of this compound, so one of the resonating structures is O minus, C plus, and another resonating structure is O minus, here double bond, here plus. So these are the two contributing structures to this particular compound. And you see here we have plus charge. So obviously on this carbon we have partial positive charge. And here also we have plus charge, and as a result on this carbon also we have partial positive charge. So the nucleophile can attack either of these two carbons. One is C2, another one is C4. First let me show what product you will get when nucleophile attacks C2. So in the first step you will get a compound O minus and here nucleophile, and after that if you add H plus, then the final compound is final product OH and here the nucleophile. So nucleophilic addition. It is called as nucleophilic addition because nucleophile is attacking in the rate determining step. Of course, in the second step electrophile is also attacking, and you don't call it as electrophilic addition because of this. And because nucleophile is attacking in the RDS, we call it as nucleophilic addition. Now, suppose if the same nucleophile attacks this carbon, then what happens? You see, so first you will get Nu, and here O minus, here double bond. Nucleophile attacked C4, and then this pi bond is shifted here, this pi bond is broken here. Okay. Now, if you add H plus to this, then O minus becomes OH and double bond here, and this is unstable because it is enol form. In this particular case, keto is more stable than the enol. So let me convert that into keto form. So you will get this compound, double bond to methyl. Now this is called as 1,2 addition product. And this is called as 1,4 addition product. Actually, in the first path, nucleophile attacked the second carbon and electrophile attacked the neighboring oxygen. So the relation, the relative position of those two is 1,2, neighboring. And here nucleophile attacked C4 and electrophile attacked the oxygen, of course initially, when enol form is formed. and the relative position of that oxygen and carbon is 1 and 4. So it is called as 1,4 addition product. And this 1,2 addition product is major at low temperatures, or you can say under irreversible conditions. And it is almost similar to the one which we discussed now, just now before this, electrophilic addition to conjugated ions. Okay, and this is the major product, 1,4 addition is the major product at high temperature or reversible conditions. And allow please remember, high temperature and reversible conditions are one and the same, because the particular reaction becomes reversible only at high temperature. So low temperature or irreversible conditions, 1,2 addition product is the major product, and this product is called as kinetically controlled. This is not equilibrium control, this is not thermodynamic control, this is kinetic control, and this product is called as either equilibrium control or thermodynamic control. And let me show you two important points here. Now, suppose the first point, if you come to the first point, let us see the original compound, alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde or ketone. Now, we discussed that there are two electrophilic sites. One is C2, let us say it is A, and another one is B, C4. Now, which is more electrophilic? Where does the nucleophile prefer to attack? A or B? It is A. So, the first important point here is A is more electrophilic than B. That means on carbon 2, that means the carbonyl carbon, we have the greater magnitude of the partial positive charge. So nucleophile is readily attracted, lesser activation energy. So 1,2 addition path that involves lesser activation energy, similar to the previous topic. Okay. Now, if you compare these two products, now 1,2 addition product is like this, OH here and here nucleophile, and 1,4 addition product is like this, double bond O and here nucleophile. And which is more stable between those two? This is more stable. 1,4 addition product is more stable. And in our previous discussion also same thing. 1,2 addition path involves lesser activation energy, but 1,4 addition product is more stable, and same here. Here 1,2 addition path involves lesser activation energy because carbonyl carbon has greater magnitude of the partial charge. When you compare these two, this structure and this structure, contribution of this structure is greater, and as a result nucleophile prefers to attack this carbon. So lesser activation energy. But this product is more stable because of the C double bond O, because of the presence of the residual C double bond O. All of you recall, C double bond O is a very strong bond, and if a compound contains that particular bond, the compound is stable. See, keto is more stable than enol exactly because of that particular bond, presence of that particular C double bond O. So by the same logic, if you compare the stability of these two, this is more stable. So exactly similarly, similar to the electrophilic addition to the conjugated dienes, even in this reaction also two different paths are there. One is called as 1,2 path, 1,2 addition path, that is kinetically controlled because lesser activation energy. Another one is 1,4 addition path, which is called as equilibrium control or thermodynamic control, and product is more stable, but it involves higher activation energy. Okay. Now, with energy profile, similar to the previous topic, let me explain all this, why this is measured at low temperature, why this is measured at high temperature. All these things, let me explain with the help of a energy profile. So let us see the energy profile. Actually, the energy profile is like this. This is the starting compound. And this is the end product. This is one path, and that path is for 1,2 addition path. Okay, now if we come to the other path, that is 1,4. You know, 1,4 addition path involves higher activation energy, but that is also an exothermic reaction. But 1,4 addition path, the 1,4 addition product is more stable. So this is the path. So this is 1,2 addition product. And this is 1,4 addition product. Now, this is less stable, this is more stable, and the less stable product involves the path which involves lesser activation energy, more reactive. At any given temperature, that is a better path, favorable path. The more stable product involves higher activation energy. At any temperature, it is less favorable. And suppose if you perform the reaction at low temperature, 1,2 addition product will be the major. And once a product comes here, it does not go back at low temperature, because backward reaction involves higher activation energy compared to forward reaction here. So at low temperature, it is not possible. But when you increase the temperature, yes, many of these molecules will go back, and they may go in this particular path, because 1,4 addition product is more stable. So this is kinetical control. When the conditions are not favorable for a reversible reaction, then only this is obtained as a major product. But whenever the conditions are reversible, particularly this path, whenever this path becomes reversible, this becomes the major product. Exactly similar to electrophilic addition. Now here let me add 2 points. First point is, generally what are the nucleophiles you encounter in nucleophilic additions to a conjugated system? There are so many nucleophiles. H minus is there, R minus is there, Cn minus, OR minus, ammonia, SH minus, conjugate base of H2S. So if you see all these nucleophiles, the first one RMGX, second one RLI, third one LiLH4, and fourth one NaBH4. Actually, all the nucleophiles there are very strong. R minus in the first 2 cases and H minus in the second 2 cases. They are strong nucleophiles. So in these 4 cases, 99% of the time, the conditions are irreversible. And as a result, at any temperature, almost at any temperature, the conditions are irreversible, because the nucleophile involved is very strong. And you all know carbon-carbon bond is very strong, and that is the reason behind the catenating ability of carbon, the highest catenating ability of carbon. So this is also carbon, and it forms a bond with a carbon, carbonyl carbon. So these reactions are irreversible, and at any temperature. As a result, 1,2 addition is major. No matter whatever may be the temperature, low temperature or high temperature, whatever it may, it is always 1,2. And we have 3 exceptions to this. As far as JEE advanced syllabus is concerned, you have to keep 3 exceptions in mind to my first point. The first one is, Suppose if you take a cyclic compound and if you treat this compound with NaBH4, and here in the first step 1,4 addition happens, not 1,2, an exception to this particular observation. So we will get first 1,4 addition, and as a result, if you complete the tautomerism step also, you will get this compound. And because NaBH4 can reduce ketone, so ultimately this is not the final product. The final product is cyclohexanol. Now another exception is this is for LiLH4. Now all of you recall this compound, cinnamaldehyde. This is the product obtained in Perkin reaction. Now if you treat this compound with LiAlH4, and in the first step 1,4 addition happens, and you will get after tautomerism, you will get this compound. And because LiLH4 can reduce aldehyde, so final compound is alcohol. Now this is the final compound in the case of LiAlH4. So there is one exception for NaBH4 and there is one exception for LiLH4. In both cases they are giving 1,4 addition, and in all other cases they give 1,2 addition. And one more exception here is, suppose if you take a compound like this, cyclic or acyclic, any compound. Now you treat this compound with organomagnesium compound, Grignard reagent, but in the presence of a small amount of cuprous halide. If you take only RMGX, then the addition is always 1,2. But if you take RMGX in the presence of a small amount of cuprous halide, then the major product is 1,4 addition. So the compound is this one. Of course, after tautomerism. Okay, so these three exceptions you keep them in mind, and in all other cases you can go for 1,2 addition. Sodium borohydride, lithium aluminum hydride, Grignard reagent, organo-lithium compound. Okay. In all other cases, in the case of all other nucleophiles, one-4 addition is major at room temperature. At room temperature. And in the first point, 1,2 is major at any temperature with these three exceptions. And in the second point, you see, in the case of all other nucleophiles, it is 1,4 addition at room temperature. But if you decrease the temperature -10, -20, yeah, then the addition may be 1,2. The 1,2 addition may become major product. So if the temperature is not mentioned in the exam, then in the case of all other nucleophiles, you should go for 1,4 addition. And examples, if you see R2CuLi, see organometallic compounds, 2 are here, 1 is here, Gilman's reagent. Okay. Now then we have ammonia, we have OH minus, we have RO minus, we have HS minus, we have CN minus, etc. In all other cases, we will get 1,4 addition at room temperature. So these points keep in mind, and this is the energy profile for this particular reaction. Which product is more stable, with path involves higher activation energy or lesser activation energy, whatever may be the case. Okay. So this is all about nucleophilic addition to conjugated systems. Now let me come to the last aspect of this conjugated systems. The third type of reaction, that is nucleophilic substitution. nucleophilic substitution in conjugated systems. Now this is our third reaction. Two addition reactions we have seen, electrophilic addition and nucleophilic addition. Now let us see one substitution reaction, particularly nucleophilic. Okay. All of you recall, suppose if you have CH2 double bond CHCl, vinyl chloride. Now can you substitute this chlorine with any other group? That means, does this compound undergo SN1 or SN2? No. Now another such example is chlorobenzene. No SN1, no SN2. And actually the problems in these two compounds, in fact the problems are so many. Partial double bond character. Suppose if you want to go for SN2 reaction in which the leaving group leaves and the nucleophile comes in one single step, elementary reaction, this carbon chlorine bond in this compound as well as in this compound, both the cases, it is partial double bond character it has. So in these two compounds chlorine is not a good leaving group. Elsewhere it may be a good leaving group. In normal saturated compounds, alkyl halides, yes, chlorine is reasonably good leaving group, but here it is not because of the partial double bond character. Second problem, because of the presence of pi electrons. Now these two compounds repel nucleophile because they themselves are nucleophiles. Vinyl chloride is a nucleophile, chlorobenzene is a nucleophile. So how can a nucleophile, how can another nucleophile approach these two compounds? This is another problem. Now if you want to go for SN1, then carbocations involved in both of them, they are highly unstable. So because of these many problems, these two compounds, they do not undergo either SN1 or SN2. So that means that particular halogen cannot be replaced with any other group. But you know, all of you, you have studied, if you attach an electron withdrawing group to this benzene ring, suppose if you take this compound, para-nitrochlorobenzene, here actually no substitution. If you come to this para-nitrochlorobenzene, you treat this compound with let us say RO minus at high temperature at around 70 or 80 degrees Celsius. Yes, there is a reaction and you will get substituted product OR here, NO2 here. Yes, the reaction happens. Now, if you take another example, that is pyridine, and one halogen attached here. You see that halogen? That is also vinylic type of halogen. See the halogen present here, which is attached to sp2 carbon. Here also same, and here also same. And even in this compound also, yes, there is nucleophilic substitution. You treat this compound with RO minus, just you warm it. Temperature need not be too much. Temperature is just around 60 or 70 degrees Celsius. Then, yes, there is substitution reaction and you will get OR here. And there is another example we can see, that is azulene, in which the leaving group is attached here, and that is also vinylic type of halogen. One double bond here and no. Here double bond and here also double bond. Yeah, that is also vinylic type of halogen. But when you treat this compound with OR minus, yes, there is a reaction. And in the place of Cl, OR comes, double bond, double bond, double bond, double bond and double bond. Actually, you know about this already. This is what is called as nucleophilic aromatic substitution, which is also called as addition-elimination reaction. It is a two-step mechanism. In the first step, nucleophile comes and attacks, aromaticity disturbed, and in the second step, aromaticity is regained by the leaving of the halogen. So that is the mechanism. Now, if you come to the vinyl chloride, here also there is no substitution. Okay. Actually, in aryl halides, whenever an electron withdrawing group is attached, we can make nucleophilic substitution happen. And that is because if you see the intermediate here, that intermediate is stabilized by the NO2 group. Now, OR attacks here, minus double bond, NO2. Now, that is resonance stabilized. The negative charge comes here, double bond, OR, Cl. And it has another resonating structure, that is NO2 is minus R group. So, OR, Cl, double bond, NO minus, O minus, plus. And it has another resonating structure, here NO2 minus Cl, OR, double bond and double bond. So these are the resonating structures for that intermediate. And you see what is the role of NO2 there? Actually, one of the roles of NO2 is making this benzene ring partially positively charged so that the nucleophile comes and attacks. I told you already, if there is no NO2 there, the benzene ring is highly nucleophilic because of that pi electron cloud, aromatic sextet. But because of the presence of NO2, because it's very powerful electron withdrawing nature, it makes the benzene ring electron deficient. There is partial positive charge and nucleophile readily is attracted. It can attack the carbon. And once it attacks, the NO2 is performing another role. It is stabilizing the intermediate. It is stabilizing the negative charge by resonance. You see this particular structure and highly stable structure. And as a result, the reaction is made possible. Now, if you come to the pyridine case, yes, it is also similar. Suppose if OR minus attacks, then first you will get this particular intermediate. Now it is resonance stabilized, the negative charge goes on directly to that nitrogen, which is relatively the most stable resonating structure out of the three. And one more resonating structure is like this. Nitrogen minus OR, Cl, double bond and double bond. And because of the contribution of this particular structure, yes, here the reaction is made possible. And one more thing, this nitrogen also makes this benzene ring less electron dense because it attracts electron density towards itself, more electronegative nitrogen. And as a result, the attack of nucleophile is favorable. And without this nitrogen, it is not possible. You see this chlorobenzene? Okay. If you come to the case of azulene, there is no electron withdrawing group there. There is no nitrogen, there is no NO2, but still nucleophilic aromatic substitution is possible there. And that is because of the stability of the intermediate. One thing here, all of you please recall, if you see one of the resonating structures of azulene, first let me tell you that. Double bond here, double bond, and here double bond, here double bond. Now let me break this double bond, and I can write down one resonating structure after breaking that particular bond is double bond plus negative double bond, double bond, double bond. That means You break this pi bond like this, then you break this pi bond like this. And you observe that the 7-membered ring as well as 5-membered ring, now both are aromatic. 7-membered ring is cycloheptatrienyl carbocation, you see, observe that. And the 5-membered ring is cyclopentadienyl carbanion, both are aromatic. And as a result, the resonance hybrid of azulene, resonance hybrid can be better represented like this, plus delocalized minus delocalized. So as a result, nucleophilic attack is made favorable. Actually here in the bigger ring, we have partial positive charge, you see this. So as a result, nucleophile readily attacks there. Okay, once it attacks, you see the intermediate that is obtained there. Now here we have OR, Cl, and here we have a 5-membered ring. Double bond here, minus charge, double bond. Now you observe that particular 5-membered ring, that is aromatic. So intermediate is stable, one thing. Second one is nucleophilic attack is made favorable by this charge distribution in the azulene ring, original azulene ring. The bigger ring is carrying positive charge and the smaller ring is carrying negative charge. Actually here NO2, here nitrogen, and here the charge polarization. These three are making the nucleophilic attack favorable. First thing. Second thing, once nucleophile attacks, here NO2 is stabilizing that, here nitrogen is stabilizing that, and here the nature of this ring in the intermediate, aromatic nature, that is stabilizing that intermediate. So ultimately the reaction is possible. Now, do you expect same thing in this particular case? Because this is also similar case, vinyl chloride. So if you attach any electron withdrawing group, can you make the replacement of this chlorine possible? Yes. You see this example, all of you. C double bond O, methyl, double bond, and here chlorine. All of you see this example. Actually here, this particular chlorine is vinylic type of chlorine, same type. But now you can replace this easily. Suppose you treat this compound with OR minus. Now this OR minus attacks here, this bond is broken and this bond is also broken. So as a result, you will get an intermediate that is O minus, and here double bond. Here we have Cl still attached, and here OR. Now you know, C double bond O, once it is broken, it is always better to reform it because it is very strong bond. It is always stable to have that C double bond O finally undisturbed. So this bond is reformed, this pi bond is broken. Now this chlorine goes out. You see, here comes the negative charge, and here is the pi bond. Yes, and chlorine goes out. Something like even C. You know, alkyl halide is there, and on the beta carbon we have negative charge, and the leaving group readily leaves. You have seen in E1CB. In such case, even fluorine leaves. So chlorine is a better leaving group than fluorine. So the final compound here is, here we will get back this carbonyl carbon, and here we have double bond, and here we have OR. And you see that, all of you? Actually this is a vinylic type of chlorine. But because of the presence of this electron withdrawing group, the replacement of that chlorine has become easier. And in the absence of such a group, it is simply impossible. The replacement of this chlorine is impossible. So this example is very much similar to these examples which you already know, nucleophilic aromatic substitution. So this is something about nucleophilic substitution in conjugated systems.